Hi, I'm Kenny Harrell, the managing partner of the Joye Law Firm. Our firm has offices across the state of South Carolina. And I want to talk to you for a couple of minutes about the Camp Lejeune contaminated water cases and what we hope will be the very soon passage of the Camp Lejeune Justice Act. I will tell you, I've been practicing law now for nearly 35 years. I have loved what I have done, and I've been very passionate about the work that I've done on behalf of my clients. I don't know if I've been as fired up about a set of cases as we are about these cases, because the extent of the cover-up of what was a very serious problem for decades and the severe impact it's had on, frankly, probably hundreds of thousands of people. Frankly, it's appalling. But we do hope that we'll be able to help at least some of the victims of this situation obtain some justice. Our firm is working with the Bluestein Law Firm out of Columbia on these cases. That's another outstanding law firm. We've worked with the Bluestein firm for years, helping veterans with veterans' disability claims. This is a very different situation. This would be essentially a federal claim and most likely a federal lawsuit, which would need to be filed in order to obtain some relief for the people that have been affected by this situation. First, a few things as far as qualifiers. The Camp Lejeune Justice Act, which is awaiting final passage, we're confident. The initial vote in the Senate back in June was 84-14 to approve this legislation. Ask yourself, find any issue that you can get 84 U.S. senators to agree on. That's pretty rare, but I think that just tells you the scope of how bad this problem was. But to qualify, a person must have been at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987 for at least 30 days. Doesn't have to be consecutive days because we know that during that period of time there was about 1 million Marines that were stationed at Camp Lejeune. But obviously there was at least that many family members who also would have been there, would have lived there. There were contractors, there were employees. And so, again, if you can just show that you were at Camp Lejeune for at least 30 days during that 34-year span, then you may be entitled to these benefits. The problem was the severely contaminated water and wells at the base. There was a variety of sources for the pollutants that created these problems. There were chemicals from a dry cleaner that was located in close proximity to the base. There were leaks from fuel tanks, so there was high levels of benzene in some of the wells at Camp Lejeune. There were a host of chemicals that just got dumped on the base. Everything from DDT to other pesticides. You name it. It was basically a dumping ground, and unfortunately, the nature of the soil at Camp Lejeune, if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. It's primarily sand. These chemicals essentially just went straight through the soil and into the aquifers, and that's where the pollutants came from. There were chemicals in the Camp Lejeune water, and this was known about by the military for decades, that were as much as 3,000 times higher than what the level would have been for safe consumption for humans. And so what's the result of that? Well, it's a whole host of problems that have been linked to the exposure to this water. Just a vast number of cancers. I would tell anybody, if you had cancer of any type, then you should have a claim screen because there's a good chance that you may be entitled to a recovery. There were miscarriages, stillbirths. So many stillbirths at Camp Lejeune over this period of time, they actually created a separate cemetery there that they referred to as baby heaven. That gives you some idea of how bad and how widespread this problem was. Infertility and a host of other conditions, Parkinson's. And so what I would tell you is that if you or a loved one were at Camp Lejeune during this 34-year period of time and you developed any significant health problem, get your claim screened. It doesn't cost you a dime to get the claim screened. There is zero financial risk. Our law firm, the Bluestein Law Firm, we think we've got a very good team of lawyers here in South Carolina to work up these cases, but you will not owe us a penny unless we're able to obtain a recovery for you. So again, there's zero risk. I would urge you to get your claim screened. I think you owe it to yourself, to your family, and it may be a deceased loved one that maybe they died years ago. These claims would have been time barred, if North Carolina law was applied, which was basically what was being done until this Justice Act, the Camp Lejeune Justice Act, was proposed. Again, we think that the passage of this bill will be imminent. It will create a new 2-year statute of limitations from the date that the bill is passed. There is a claim process that you'll have to go through before to submit claims to the Department of the Navy before you'll be able to file a lawsuit. I do want to address one issue because I've heard there have been some references I've seen on social media to people saying, oh, well, you probably won't need a lawyer to prosecute these claims. Guys, I would tell you this. First, I'm reminded of the old Abraham Lincoln quote. Of course, Abraham Lincoln was a great trial lawyer before he became a president. And at one point he said that anybody who has or represents himself as their own lawyer has a fool for a client. And I don't mean that in a way that's derogatory or dismissive or condescending. It's just that what we all do, we all bring different skills to the table. If the air conditioner at my house goes out, I would be hard pressed to go out there and to try to fix it. All I could do basically is stare at it, because fixing air conditioners is not what I do. And so anybody that tries to handle this case on their own, there's a number of problems with that. Number one, causation does still have to be proved. That in some instances, that's going to involve us getting the right experts to come in and weigh in on whether or not this water exposure would have been the cause of the health conditions that somebody had. That's a complicated process. Just getting the records. I mean, we're talking about records that are going to be decades old. Both the Bluestein firm and our firm, we have separate medical records procurement departments, but that's going to be a yeoman's task. And then I suspect that most of these cases, a lawsuit's going to have to be filed. This was a cover-up of epic proportions. Now, the same government that covered this up for decades is going to be the same government that's going to decide during the claim process what they would propose as being a fair payment for your claim. Now, if they cover this up for 35, 40 years, I don't know why you would think that suddenly they're going to be fair and want to come to me with a fair offer during the claim process. I think for the vast majority of these cases, we're going to have to file a lawsuit in federal court. And of course, you can't do that without having a capable attorney. Bottom line, we're here to help. We are very fired up. We've got a great team that is looking forward to working these cases up aggressively. We would love to have an opportunity to screen your case. If we don't think we can help you, we'll tell you that. But at the end of the day, it's not going to cost you a penny to get your claim reviewed. We're here to help you. Please give us a call and we'll get to work. Thank you.